So a big thing that, often goes unsaid, but is so important is ethics. So it's very tempting if you think that you're like unqualified for a certain college to like embellish or exaggerate your ECs, your scores, or anything like that, or to make yourself sound better than you are. But just like in general, don't lie, don't don't falsify anything about yourself to think that you can get ahead. Even though it can be tempting, and it's like sometimes college can be a very toxic discussion where it just kind of becomes a comparison race. Nothing is worth the possible consequences of getting caught for this. It's not just certain colleges, it's about your credibility, it's about you as a student, as a person, which can chase you way farther down the road than just college. So again, like, maybe it doesn't need to be said. I hope it doesn't need to be said, but please, please, please don't lie or exaggerate yourself. You don't need to.
And for financial aid, I think a lot of people don't apply because they don't think they'll get any from a college. But just in case, you should always apply. In the future, it could come in handy the FAFSA application, so make sure you apply for that. And also, circumstances can change. You'll never know. Like no one would have ever thought a COVID-19 pandemic would come and wipe out millions of jobs, and if you may not have the income you think you have, so just like be cautious and just apply anyway. And then in general, just staying organized for college apps can be super helpful. You have a bunch of information and a bunch of different places you need to go for things. So putting it all into a spreadsheet can be really useful. Listing all your colleges, their due dates, how many teachers that you need to get recommendations for, just like everything into one place can be super helpful. So we would definitely recommend that. And then also consider making a separate email just for college things. Like I said, there's so many things that are going around, and it might flood your current inbox. So that's always an option as well.
And like the biggest tip that we have for you is take care of your mindset. College application takes up a half chunk of a year. And it's like a lot of time that you put in, but you also have to think about the positives. Like college applications are an amazing way to do some self-reflection. Like, who are you really? And this is a question that I don't think anyone will ever figure out, but college application conveniently kind of puts this out there for you. It forces you to really understand like who you are as a person. Some other tips we have is plan your timeline. Like we gave you that recommended timeline, but understand that you're probably not going to stick to all of it. Things are going to come up, things you didn't anticipate. And like, it's okay if you kind of stray away from it. Just don't get too stressed out, right? Get back on it as soon as possible when you feel that your mental health is in the right place to do so. But don't get super stressed. It really isn't worth it. The number one thing that I struggled with is comparing myself and my progress with others. I am a procrastinator. I think in college apps that really is not a good thing to be. So just like, and I knew that it's like, for me, it was like, when I saw that other people were getting all the work done and I wasn't, it demotivated me even more. So I was like, oh, like pressure makes diamonds or whatever, right? Like that was what I said to myself all the time. And so like the week before things were due, I would do them. So don't compare yourself and your progress with others like I was doing, but also recognize that you also don't want to put things off to the very last minute. Yes, everyone moves at their own pace, but that pace doesn't like mean doing things at the very, very last minute, because that's not worth it at all. Don't freak out when people say they're already done with all their work, right? They might have started a bit earlier than you. That doesn't mean that you're like behind in any way. Just like, you have your own pace, like I said. So just try to get the work done as soon as possible and make sure that the work is done not just quickly, but also it's well done. You also don't need to apply to a school just because everyone else seems to be applying there. At our school, a lot of people apply to Purdue. And it's not necessarily a school for everyone. Like it has certain really strong programs. So for other school people who aren't interested in those specific programs, that might not be the best school to apply to, right? Just because so many people applied there, people felt like, oh, like, should I apply there as well? And don't do this because it's just extra work. First of all, you're gonna have to fill out the application, but also because if there's no point to it, then why are you applying there, right? Peer pressure is a huge thing in college applications. It kind of compounds and you find yourself comparing you and who you are to other people and whether you're better or not, or whether you need to apply to school, or if you feel like you're missing out. Don't do that. Trust yourself, trust in the process. Also, communicate with your parents. We could do a whole separate webinar on this, but this is as stressful for you as it is for them. Like, you're their child, right? They probably care about you. They want to make sure that you're doing well, and so they're probably putting some of their stress out on you, and you're putting your stress out on them. And that's just like the recipe for like a lot of arguments in the home. So you want to communicate your thoughts really clearly. You want to make sure they're communicating their thoughts really clearly. And you just want to create like a supportive environment, as opposed to one person impeding another person, because that's not really helpful in your work environment. Also, go in with realistic expectations. You might be the best applicant in the world, but there are other factors that are just beyond your control. And if a college decides that you're not the best fit, that's okay, right? Like, don't see it as a rejection, really, because I'm sure that you've had so many more acceptances, and really focus on those schools, because every single person who applies to college has something to offer. And even if you like don't get into your dream school, I promise you that you will be happy with your results at the end and where you end up going. Like, you'll be happy. And with that, like, any school that you get into that you're waitlisted at, rejected, deferred, these results are not a reflection of you and who you are as a person. That is the number one thing, most important thing in a person. Like, no one's going to ask you 35 years from now which college you went to and think that you're an amazing person or a terrible person because of that college, right? Your actions are so much more important. So throughout all of this, keep your mindset and your priorities in check. Also, remember that there's a little bit of luck involved with everything. You don't know this element of luck. It's going to play a small, maybe big role, like, unpredictable role in the outcome. So just let it go, like, calm down a little bit. And also remember that you're going to be successful and happy regardless of your college results. I wish I could go back to junior year myself, or like first semester senior year Shuvi, and tell her that the number one priority and the number one thing I should be looking for is to be happy. I had this whole plan that I'm going to work really hard for 4 years of high school, and then second semester will come, I'll get into college and I'll be super happy. But I'm happy right now, not because I got into college or whatever college that I'm going to, but because I'm happy because I'm content with myself and the work that I'm doing right now. So if you are kind of focusing on the fact that getting into college or a specific college is going to make you happy, it most likely won't. That happiness comes from within. So like, make that a priority. Don't let college be the end goal, because it really is just the beginning. Is there anything else you guys would like to add to that?
Not really. I felt like that was very complete.
Awesome. Okay. And we can't really have a physical or virtual Q&A session right now. But like, in the comments section, write whatever, email us, reach out to us, and we'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.